Welcome to the B team. And we have a guest. It's Michael Curti, Kurtbot. Our buddy.
Woohoo.
Welcome to the show, Michael Curti.
Thank you, guys.
You're going to feel comfortable. We're not going to press you on anything.
Yep.
Maybe the Giants, but it's okay.
It's
We're just
all
going to bullshit. That's all we do.
Yep, we're here to shoot the shit, for sure.
We're here to shoot the shit. We just had the trade deadline end at 4 today. So let's get fucking into it. What do you guys think? What were some big trades that you guys saw that were eye-opening to you?
I mean, Detroit is just going all in on trying to take down the Packers this year. Just helping out the Vikings, giving them a tight end, making sure that anyone but Aaron Rodgers wins this thing. I mean, he should be in jail.
He should be in jail.
To trade in the division, too, is pretty crazy.
It's the first time that the Lions did that since 1998.
It's wild.
I feel like it's such an unwritten rule to just not trade through the division unless it's something you just can't turn down. But I feel like that trade, you do get a second-round pick out of it, but...
They gave up picks, too, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I believe they gave up...
So they gave up a 2023 fourth-round pick and a conditional 2024 fourth-round pick for a second-round pick in 2023 and a 2024 third-round pick.
Yeah.
They pretty much just swapped picks and they got a second.
So they must have been pretty confident, too, that they weren't going to keep him, right? I'm pretty sure he was is he a free agent next year, right? Is that kind of why? I'm 99% sure that's why. And I feel like that at least is their justification in doing it. I just still don't like the move in terms of passing him off to somebody in your division. Yeah. But I mean, for the Vikings, it's a great move for their offense, right? Irv Smith just got announced out for 8 to 10 weeks, so they're gonna need that tight end position in that offense. So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting too because I feel like a lot of the fans, at least I did, thought the Lions were gonna make a little bit of noise this year, but they've just lost. They've always gotten banged up. They've lost close games, but don't take on his contract, ship him off. I mean, Kirk's going to only be there for a couple more years. They're obviously going to have to rebuild at some point. Just trying to find that one position quarterback, a quarterback away. They will be there at some point.
The Vikings?
I think so.
I think they're a wagon right now.
Yeah, they are a wagon right now, but he's getting older for sure. They are definitely good, but in a couple of years, I mean, I think it'll pay off for the Lions.
Have you seen the video of Kirk with the ice on his neck?
Yeah.
Ever since that video, they haven't lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Vikings over 8.5. Stamp it. It's cash.
And they lost one bad game against the Eagles in Philadelphia on prime time.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up coming back in that game too. They just started off, I'm pretty sure, down a few touchdowns.
It's always tough during the first 2 or 3 weeks of the year because even teams are just really starting to figure out their identity and how they play, if they have to just switch up schemes and concepts. So it was just a tough game to begin with for them.
Yeah, and the coach for the Vikings, pretty good job, Kevin O'Connor. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
He's got balls.
Yeah, from the Rams, that offense, right? They pretty much transferred it over to Justin Jefferson. They're killing
Justin Jefferson, I saw a stat on Twitter today, has not had a receiving touchdown since week 1.
Yeah.
Are you worried about that?
Crushing it.
He's still having good games.
Yeah,
you could argue that he was the MVP of last week's game, and he didn't score, but he had 150 yards or something like that.
Yeah, he had a big day.
I mean,
listen, you're not going to have him on single coverage every single game. He's going to get doubled 90% of every snap every game. They just know how he's going to do. I mean, that just gives opportunities for guys like Dalvin Cook, Thielen, a tight end who is now injured, Osborne, just get their work in. So he's doing what he has to do. I'm not mad about it. All right, so I want to talk about a big trade as well. So Bradley Chubb to the Finns.
Mm-hmm. So the Finns were active today.
The Finns were active, and if Trey Lance is not it, which me and Gas do not think so, that is the biggest fleece that I have ever freaking seen in my life.
Yeah. The trade is really paying off, right? I don't know the exact. I saw the tweet earlier today, but what is it?
Denver receives 2023 first rounder, a 2024 fifth rounder, and Chase Edmonds, and then Bradley Chubb. They get Bradley Chubb and the 2025 fifth rounder.
Yes. Dolphins are all in.
They are all in.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's their one weakness, pass rush, and they added it. He's an elite guy. And that's kind of the person that you need at those end of the game situations where it's close and you need the sack. And he'll probably have big moments.
So those first rounders that the Dolphins got from San Francisco, they used to get Tyreek Hill,
Yep.
Jalen Waddle, and now Bradley Chubb.
Crazy.
Yep.
That's a fleece.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fleece. And now he's in the AFC East to torture Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I feel like we keep seeing these things happen when players get dealt for a lot of picks. We end up kind of seeing that those picks end up working out every time, or at least most of the time when you're able to kind of navigate. Like the Eagles, for example, like they've stockpiled picks and they still have picks, but then they were also able to like get AJ Brown, for example, and stuff like that.
It's just so smart too because like it does like it hurts to get rid of like your star player. Like the Titans got rid of AJ Brown, but like now they have picks. I mean, Treylon Burks hasn't shown us anything at all, but at least they're getting younger and they're getting people on rookie deals. But it's different for teams that are all in. Like if they're all in and they're one piece away, they're gonna go. They don't care. Like they have a chance to win the Super Bowl. I mean, if the Eagles, if someone gets hurt and is a star player, like they're gonna do anything to replace that position immediately.
Yeah.
One thing I was surprised to see is there was talk of Alvin Kamara going to the Eagles all week, probably for the last 2 weeks, and today it was crickets.
Yeah, didn't hear much.
Didn't hear anything about it.
I feel like the Eagles don't really need to get him. I feel like there was no real like purpose of getting him.
I don't know. I think the Eagles, one, had the assets, so they at least considered it. I think it probably was one of those things like maybe they were asking too much and they were nobody was going to be willing to do it. But
I mean, you can't even blame the Saints though because they're in such a bad spot right now. Like they're not a terrible team. Mm-hmm. They just can't
But they don't have it.
They don't have it. Yeah, they can't get it together.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the Eagles, they have Miles Sanders, who, for the most part this year, has been very, very productive.
Agreed.
He's only had one game below 50 yards. So, in last 2 weeks, he's had 70. And last week, he's off 9 carries. So,
I think
not bad.
I personally am a little bit of a Miles Sanders hater, but I think the Eagles system is so good that you can plug and play.
You can
with
plug
any
any
type
running
of player.
back in there.
You don't need that skill set really
Agreed.
to be like dramatically crazy because they don't need it.
I agree.
Jalen Hurts, cheat code.
Yeah.
Cheat code.
Phenomenal.
So how does it feel that your Giants have finally... Curti's a Giants fan, by the way. So you finally have lost a game. It's been weeks.
Yeah, it felt like it was coming, honestly. Yeah. I mean, the sad part, too, is that the Richie James fumbles were the killer. They had 2 fumbles on punt returns. So
if anyone doesn't know who Richie James is, he's a receiver. Just
yeah, receiver. Yeah, honestly, you don't know very many receivers on the Giants right now. But yeah, he was a punt returner, and he had 2 giant fumbles, giving the Seahawks the ball in Giants field goal in Giants pretty much I think the 30, 40 yard lines each time. So I mean, you just can't have that, and you're not going to win games doing that. They didn't play awful, but they didn't play great. Didn't get the offense going at all. So
dude, nobody knew that they would be like this. They are doing so well with bum-ass receivers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. David Sills the 4th. Right? Is that his name?
Yeah, David
Him.
Sills.
Wan'Dale Robinson I like.
Yeah.
He's a little undersized, but he's good.
Richie James.
Marcus
Johnson.
That's all I know.
Slayton.
Slayton, but they're getting it done, man. Okay, so what is...
When does Kenny Golladay start playing?
He's about to be back from injury.
He's been injured all year, right?
No, that's what's kind of interesting here. So it seemed like Kenny Golladay was getting the bench literally after the first week of the season. He saw the snaps start going down, and I think he's basically done.
He's done.
I have no imagination. I can't imagine him. I have no faith in him.
You can't.
He just doesn't get any separation. That's the biggest thing. He's a big dude. I think that's what everybody was excited about with him. Contested catches, just going up for balls. But they don't really throw the ball up to him in those situations. So having him run a slant route or stuff like that, he's just not making the plays. And credit to the coaching for not playing him on it. You know what I mean? He's getting paid a lot of money, and I feel like
that's a bad contract.
To not play him is almost more respectable because sometimes you don't see that. Where
you don't even want to attempt at that point. Just get all the Giants fans' hopes up. Just know that you failed.
Yeah.
And I guess Gettleman is one who signed him. He screwed up big time.
Yep.
But what really interests me is the Kadarius Toney situation because he was in the same boat.
Yeah.
Because he was always questionable, was expected to play and then wasn't.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that when it comes to him, it had to be like off the field issues. Like, it was not on the field. Like, he was hurt, but I feel like there's way more to it. I don't know, especially with him.
The problem with like some of that stuff in terms of like speaking on it is like we never really know.
No,
right?
never.
Like a lot of it is like such a mystery, especially with him. Like you really don't see like a lot of like I don't know. There wasn't like necessarily specific reports of like him doing this or that. But, I mean, you have a new regime in terms of, like, new GM and new coach. So they have no ties to the guy whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did hear is that he didn't show up on the first day to get the playbook. Which, I mean, like, that says a lot. That says a lot. Like, especially in a team that's trying to change the culture, trying to get better. I mean, who knows what he had going on. Again, you never really know. I hate speaking on that type of stuff with people. But, I mean, the guy couldn't stay on the field. And they needed receivers. And, like, you get some picks back. Like, I mean, we used a first round pick on him, but we got something back in return. Like, I even thought that may have been a little more than what we got. We got a third and a sixth, I'm pretty sure.
He's talented, man. I mean, like the games last year where he played, the one against the Cowboys, I was like, woo, man, he's good.
When he has the ball in his hands, probably the most exciting player I've ever seen. Like he's up there. Obviously, you got like Saquon and Odell in terms of Giants players that are like that talented with the ball. But he just can't stay on the field. Like, he really is like that. And he might do special things with the Chiefs. But it is one of those things. Like, new regime, new coaching staff. Like, you don't need to deal with the headaches if you didn't invest in him. So I'm okay with the move. It hurts because you know the talent. But, like, if you're not playing, it's easier to see him go than, like, if he was putting up 100 yards a game. And, like, then there's issues. Like, that, it's, like, tough to see him go. But if you're not playing, whatever.
It just seems like watching the Giants, like, I mean, listen, the whole NFC East schedule is fucking peanuts. Like, it's so easy. And they're actually taking care of business. Like, you guys are taking care of business. You guys are. The Birds are. The Commanders are not.
Hey,
the Commanders are not. But they're 4-4. They're 4-4.
Right? That's like winning some divisions.
The cash out is at $2.19, by the the way. I bet them win the division.
I'll cash that out.
Nice.
$2.19. That's an easy 100 down the drain.
Yeah, that was big.
I tried to warn you. Dude.
It was funny.
I tried to warn you.
It was a hot take. Listen, that's why we're here. We like to do hot takes and get fucking shit on for them. But I mean, with the Giants, like the defense looks good. The O-line was looking good, and it still is. I mean, losing Evan Neal, we talked about that. It's rough. But Daniel Jones looks comfortable. He looks comfortable. Saquon is being the old Saquon that we knew of. I mean, you guys. I mean, credit to Dable. He's really. Like, turn it around pretty much.
I mean, credit to coaching first and foremost. That'll always be, like, what's been the biggest difference maker. They have Mike Kafka, who's the quarterback coach for the Chiefs, and now he's back as the OC for the Giants, which is a huge, huge move. He's had a huge impact on the offense, and, like, you could just see that the creativity and play calling is, like, drastically different. And that's, like, to me, remember when we were, like, kneeling it on the in our own red zone?
Yeah. With Joe Judge.
To see the difference from that, bro, like, that was hard to watch. So, like, just to see them, like, actually running, like, smart plays, that makes sense. And
like, even playing football?
Yes, and, like, you know, you have Saquon Barkley, who's, like, a weapon, and they're putting him in the right situations. Like, the dude, and credit, like, the offensive line has gotten a lot better. Shout out Andrew Thomas. Best tackle in NFL.
Best tackle in NFL, you heard it here.
Yeah, per PFF. That's like their grading.
I don't
I agree too, but you know, there's some credit there. And then like
Feliciano.
They're putting Saquon in the right positions, and Danny's done all right in terms of just not turning the ball over and getting stuff done with his feet. Like they're getting things done, and they're winning games. It's never pretty. Like every game is close. I'm pretty sure they have like 5 or 6 game-winning drives because it's literally always coming down to the last possession.
Danny Dimes is Tom Brady.
But, you know, to figure that out early is huge because by the end of the year, it really is about, like, figuring out how to win. And for them to kind of figure that out early when they haven't done that is nice to see.
I was saying last week on the pod, like, I was just kind of crediting Danny Dimes on his run game. Like, dude, they're putting him in situations where they're like, read option, look at the edge, and then just run. Dude can move. He can move.
I think it was 2 weeks ago that he had the rushing touchdown. I think it was in England.
Yeah.
That play, they should be running that play at least 10 times a game.
Yeah. No, like, and it doesn't miss usually. Because, I mean, you have to respect Saquon.
You have to respect Saquon.
And then, like, once the defensive end comes in, like, he's gone.
He's gone.
Yes.
And, I mean, the problem is when he's run, sometimes he gets a little hurt. I think his ankle's been messed up. So, like, they haven't been running him as much because they're trying to keep him, like, at least a little bit healthy. But the guy's tough. He's a hard runner. He'll put his shoulder down if he needs to. He'll lay out.
Yeah.
So you're making the playoffs. Are the playoffs and Foresight, are they there?
I'll say this. After the bye week, the next 6 games include the Texans, Lions, and Commanders all at home. And then you go Eagles and Commanders. So that's 4 games right there that should be wins. Commanders suck this year.
Yep. No, so I'm definitely hopeful for wild card. I think it's definitely
it's
definitely an uphill battle because I look at the Cowboys and the Eagles and they're better than us. Like as much as like as good as the Giants are playing, credit to you guys. like
it's just funny.
They're
too,
not
like
they're not as good.
You guys are so like okay. The Birds are what 7-0.
Yeah.
You guys are right behind them. Like it's not like you guys are 4-4 or 3-5 and the Birds are running away with the division. Like they have to keep winning games. If they slip up and go on a 3-game losing streak, dude, it's anyone's division to take. NFC Beast. This is crazy. This is wild.
I really don't see a scenario where the NFC East doesn't get 3 teams in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
The way the rest of the divisions are starting to pile up, like the Bengals, you could say, not the Bengals.
The
That's
Bengals.
AFC. Fuck me, I'm looking at the wrong thing. The Packers, you could say at some point they could turn it around.
But who knows?
But they're 3-5. Aaron Rodgers looks washed up
and made no moves at the deadline.
No moves. The Bucks.
Like, all right, think about
like
every second place NFC team right now. NFC South is probably what, the Bucks or the Panthers, maybe. The Bucks. Okay, like I don't know. They're kind of in shambles, and Todd Bowles is not it. He's not a good head coach.
At what point do we switch to Kyle Trask down there?
Kyle Trask, throw him in.
A little lively hand.
Let him.
Get him moving around a little bit. Yeah.
Let's see what he can do.
They'll never do that.
I mean, no, they would never. But
Brady already went through 1 divorce. He doesn't need a second one.
Okay? Imagine he just retired. Brady and Rodgers retire at the same time.
They're going to. I think one of those 2 guys will retire next, after this year. And I think it's gonna be Rodgers. Rodgers is going to be it.
I think they both should. I mean, I think
Brady's got nothing though now.
We were talking about it a little before, and I feel like Rodgers should retire more so as a fuck you to the Packers for not doing anything for him.
Yeah.
Like he showed that he was willing to come back and like give the team a chance, and like I feel like he had the right to leave if he wanted to, barring that like Devontae Adams was leaving and all that stuff. He had the ability to kind of get out, and he chose to stay, which I don't know. I didn't necessarily agree with it because I kind of saw this coming. But, I mean, for them to not, like, get any wideouts for him
they never do
is crazy. And I know they never do, but, like, come on. Like, their defense is all right. They have great running backs. Like, they could make that push, but I don't know if I believe in
they're
them.
banged up, and, like, I understand they want to keep their rookies, like, their new rookies like Dobbs and Christian Watson who's been banged up and develop that chemistry with him. But you've seen it. You guys are 3-5 now. Like, you have to make a move. But I was seeing something that they offered a 2nd-round pick to the Steelers for Claypool, but they declined it because the Bears pick was higher in the 2nd round. So they gave him to the Bears instead. The Bears have finally beaten the Packers in something.
Yes.
They need a round of applause. They finally beat the Packers in something. But he's going to retire, and he's going to host Jeopardy next year. Don't be shocked if you don't see him on Jeopardy hosting.
Can we talk about the Steelers for a second?
Sure.
I think they're the funniest team in the NFL.
Okay, why is that?
Because they're so good offensively in terms of their like players, just if you look at them. Yeah. But obviously they got rid of Claypool, so that's a little bit of like a lesser weapon. But they're so talented, and they just can't figure anything out. Like obviously their defense is a little like they have Minka Fitzpatrick who's there, and like TJ Watt's hurt, which is giant.
That's huge. Yeah.
But like, you know, what happened to Steelers football? They let everybody score, and they can't score at all. They can't run the ball, which is huge. Like, I love Najee Harris, but they're not putting him... It kind of reminds me of Saquon a little bit. Like, dude ran into a wall for 2 years and couldn't get anywhere.
Did you see that one 3rd down play where it was just like a swing pass to him, and he could have easily just like put his shoulder down and got that first, but just was like dancing around 4th down?
Yeah, I hate the dancing around. Like,
he's got to learn.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been one of the running backs that just has not lived up to the hype. And he's so good, I agree with you, because he's such a beast. His first year, he was running all over the place, like top 10 running back easily. But to me, I don't know how I feel about Kenny Pickett. I don't I like kind of on the fence about him. I think he was definitely a little overhyped just because he's a Pitt quarterback, and obviously Pittsburgh wanted him, but it's the Steelers. Mike Tomlin's going to stay there. They'll figure it out, so we'll see. But I like Pickens.
Yeah.
I like Pickens. We talked about this before. Pickens is a dog. I like Deontay Johnson, but I don't know what's going on with him either. Freiermuth, they do have players, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're not wrong.
I traded Mike in fantasy. I traded George Pickens for Michael Carter. And then 3 hours later, James Robinson gets traded to the Jets. And now today Claypool's gone. Pickens is now their second receiver. We'll probably have 100 yards the rest of the year.
This might make me finally win the chip in our league.
Yeah.
Finally.
Costly trade, honestly. So stupid. It makes me so mad.
I think that's just fantasy football in a nutshell this year. Fantasy football has been just obliterating everyone, I feel like, because of all the under games and nobody's scoring. Like the Colts and Broncos 12-9. Like no one's putting up points. But
there's no points this year. I think that's because the D linemen and all of our pass rushers are now just like the best athletes on the field.
Yeah.
So they're
and
all
the cornerbacks
overpowering every O line. We're watching officials not call holding penalties on Micah Parsons. Dallas Cowboys don't get any holding penalties anymore.
I think
you guys can hold us as much as you want because they're not going to call it.
You can blame the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills because everyone looks at their offense and how super powered it is. So they're like, you know what? We're just going to load up defensive players and just stop everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's going to show, man. I think it's all unders now. Every single game is an under.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, what else do we have to touch on? The Cowboys, how do they do this past weekend? They look good.
We fucking killed the Bears.
Yep.
Killed them.
Dak is back, baby.
Tony Pollard.
All right, let's squash this right now. Tony Pollard is so good, but we have to remember we played against the Bears.
I don't know.
They didn't. It's the Bears.
But it's not just the Bears.
It's not just the Bears. The Bears' defense is all right.
He does this every week, and people only are realizing that this is happening because he went off. Like, it's been every week for the last 2 years. We all know Tony Pollard's way more dynamic, but he's not a power rusher like Zeke. Like, if you watch our 4th and 1s, he's not someone that you really want back there. I mean, he did all right this week. But Zeke, like, when he's back there on 4th and 1, you're like, all right, I got this. 3rd and 1, I got this.
So you prefer Zeke over Tony Pollard, 100% healthy, both of them. You would take Zeke over Pollard.
Depends the scenario.
Depends the scenario. Okay.
Like, if I want a power rusher, I'm taking Zeke all day.
Okay.
What if I told you that Tony Pollard is averaging 5.47 yards per carry between the tackles, second amongst all backs? Mm-hmm. Elliott ranks 38th.
Yeah, because when we take Zeke out, everyone thinks that we're going to pass the ball. We had Tony Pollard blocking the whole first 2 weeks. He wasn't getting carries.
I see like where you're coming from in terms of that argument, but I still see like the pop that Tony Pollard like just brings in terms of like he just hits the gap and he just runs straight. Zeke sometimes is just a little slower and he'll just put his shoulder down and get a few yards. Yeah,
Zeke is gonna be the backup if not done probably in the next 2 years. He's not the same person he was 2 years ago. Honestly, he hasn't been the same person since he went to Cabo. But Tony Pollard, like, he's probably the best running back we have. He possibly could be the best running back in the NFC East. But I think his time's going to come maybe a year or two down the line where he's the Cowboys running back. Yeah. It's never going to happen with Zeke there.
Yeah. I mean, he's hurt right now, though. So that opportunity is kind of starting to, like...
I think if we didn't have the bye, Zeke would have played.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because now he's given basically 2.5 weeks off. He'll come back hopefully healthier, and maybe we'll see a different Zeke because he's been banged up since week 1.
It's interesting.
So between you two, who do you think has a better chance to beat the Eagles, either in the playoffs or just in the regular season? Who are you most confident with, the Cowboys or the Giants?
I said this last week.
Well, we have to get Curti involved.
All right, so yeah, you can hear this part. The Eagles have only beaten the Cowboys in the past, like, however many years, 2 times.
Yep.
Okay?
And you almost beat him with Cooper Rush.
So, think about this. Who was the quarterback the last time we lost him?
Cooper Rush.
Which is a backup to Dak. Yep. All right, so the next one, we went out there with Gucci Danucci. And he put up a good first half, but then fell apart. Lost him again. That's also a backup to Dak Prescott. The Eagles have not beat us with Dak Prescott. It's not going to happen.
I actually agree with you. to be honest. I mean, again, I kind of mentioned it a little bit. Like, I think the Cowboys are just a better team. So I'll give the Cowboys having a better chance, especially because they kept it a game. I think either team has a chance when it's a division game like that they have that opportunity to win. And they'll probably be close games. But, I mean, the Eagles are pretty freaking good. And I could very much see them just, like, clobbering the Giants. Like, I don't know. They're probably due for one of those eventually, and I could see that being against the Eagles. Based on their schedule, too, they don't really have those games against other teams.
Yeah. They're not going to clobber
and the Eagles
Giants,
have been doing that to a lot of teams, though.
I don't think they'll clobber the Giants.
I
can't see it happening.
The Eagles' defense is pretty solid, and then, like, I don't know, the RPO of the Eagles, I think, is going to give the Giants some issues.
So, do you think that the Eagles are coming out of the NFC?
Yeah, for sure.
100%?
I think it would be a shock if they did.
So, what team is a threat to them in the playoffs? Like, the biggest threat to the Cowboys or the Eagles?
I mean, in the NFC, I think the Vikings are like a really actually, and I know that the Eagles had a good game against the Vikings.
Week 2, it's early.
It's too early. I think by the end of the year they'll be okay. And also, like, you never know with injuries, like, what the Eagles team will look like by playoffs. Because I mean, there's no way it'll be everybody gets there. So who knows, really? But
will they go 17-0?
No.
Okay.
God, no.
Just making
They'll
sure.
definitely find a way to, like, lose a few games. I still think, like, truly the Bills are, like, the team to beat out of everybody by far.
I think the two teams to beat are both in the AFC.
Yeah.
I think it's the Chiefs and the Bills for a Super Bowl.
You said the Jets and the Bills?
Yes, the Jets and the Bills.
Okay.
Fuck, now I forget what I was going to say. Oh, do we know who the Eagles' backup quarterback is?
Oh, Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. So if he has to play, I'm not confident that the Eagles can win. It's not like back when Wentz got hurt and we had Big Dick Nick come in.
I agree. I mean, I think he's capable again, but I think he takes away from like the Eagles' offense.
Yeah.
They're not able to run it.
I'm a huge fan of Jalen Hurts. Don't want him to get injured.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
I'm just throwing that out there. I think the Eagles will lose 2 or 3. And if Jalen does pick up a knock, they could be in big trouble.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, who else can we shit on? What team can we also shit on?
The Broncos won, but they still suck.
They still suck, okay?
Just have to say that they're a quarterback away. Just got to get that into the show.
I think it's good that they didn't trade Jerry Jeudy. I think it's a little crazy that they're even thinking about it.
I have something about Jerry Jeudy that we have to discuss, which I agree with you.
Yeah.
Does his head look really big with his helmet on for his body when he plays?
1,000%.
I can say that.
Yeah, he looks like a bobblehead.
Bobblehead.
It's crazy.
It's actually a very good call out.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking the same
thing. All right, I just wanted to make sure other people were seeing it. Because I said it this weekend and everyone just looked at me like I was crazy.
He's like super skinny compared to just about everybody else.
He looks like he doesn't wear shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it's something about like the Broncos helmet specifically. Like the color of it just adds a little size.
Thick. It looks really thick.
Something about it.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
All right. Well, I don't have anything.
Nothing?
There's got to be something.
Do you have a question for us?
We have to wrap up, but
let's talk about Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields. I think there's an argument that Justin Fields has been balling out.
Cassie knows what I'm going to say here. I was always a Justin Fields guy.
I know.
Right now, I always wanted Justin Fields, but Zach, I'll give him a pass because he played the Patriots.
Yeah.
But Fields also played the Patriots, and they won. And they fucking blew him out in Foxborough.
Big time.
But losing Brees hurts. I think Zach will get it together. I think he'll be fine, but he's going to have another year. They're going to give another year to him just to see how he is, just to evaluate him. But listen, we're 5-3. I have to be happy with how we're doing. Granted, like 80% of it was probably all Brees Hall anyways, but the Steelers game was Zach, and everything else was pretty much Brees. Like, our receivers have not been there. Eli Moore is still a Jet. He should not be a Jet anymore. Get him out. He's not leaving, though. But you know what, Eli? I hope you do well. Because you're so talented, but just get your head out of your freaking ass. That's all I have.
So funny.
So, nothing else. Gassy, you have anything?
No, I'm good.
All right, well, good episode, Curti. Thanks for coming on. It's been great.
Man. Come back anytime.
So, see you guys. See you next week.
Peace.